One, two, one, two.
Well, folks, good day to you one and all, and welcome to the Second Gear Studios. It's Wednesday night. It's our favorite night of the week, apart from obviously Saturdays when we are down at the race circuit. But on a Wednesday night, it's iRacing. It's the MSA Porsche Cup series coming to you every second Tuesday of the month. Joining me in the studio, the man that's going to be down at Killarney this Saturday with Rallycross and Half Main and all of those things, the voice of Western Province Motorsport, Frankie Innes. Frankie, good evening to you. And this is round number 3 of the MSA Porsche Cup Pro-Am Series for 2023.
G'day, Gary. Everybody at home. Hi, hello, welcome. We come to you from Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin, USA, for the full course of Road America for the Porsche Cup. Track temperature is 38 degrees. Outside is 24, partly cloudy. The wind is 24 k's an hour. And yeah, a big thank to ASAP New and Used Motor Spares in Pretoria West. They are the sponsors of the 2023 MSA Porsche Cup.
Well, it looks like we're going to have the better part of around about 15 cars out there on circuit. And let's have a look at them as they work their way around their first warm-up lap. The man that's out there right now, that is Jaco Steyn, the man that put the whole series together. And he was one of the very first guys to come out for the warm-up lap. They got a warm-up lap and then 2 flyers in a 10-minute qualifier.
So that is indeed Jaco Steyn out there with the Porsche, busy working his way around. And we have a look at Robbie Teens in the Teen Bolt Porsche, busy working his way around Road America with 1 minute and 24 seconds done. There is Herman Lazarus, the man of cheapercars.co.za, in that blue machine of his. Then Peter van Zyl out there with that 33 Porsche, busy circulating Road America. All these guys wanting to put up a time. We're back there with Robbie Teens. There's Richard van Heerde in the 31 Porsche, busy making his way around. All in all, there's about 14 driver car combinations that will be out on the circuit.
Jaco Foster, the man that looks after the endurance racing for us, he's out there as well as one of the semi-newcomers to iRSA, iRacing in South Africa, and that is Low Wrigley. Also out there on circuit right now is the big man, Willem Pinaar.
Yeah, Willem Pinaar in the Castrol Porsche, making his way down the main straight into turn number 1 is Willem Pinaar. A lot of green PB sectors, and there's a couple of drivers out there with purple sectors, and that is the 86 of Rainier Hubert, the Wild Rose Gin Craft Beer Porsche, or should I say the Wild Rose Gin Craft Gin Porsche, busy making his way around. Leonardo Bakari in the 22, that's also working his way around Road America, is Leonardo Bakari. And then Mark Devereaux, also one of the relatively new drivers. He's in the Verizon Porsche, busy making his way around. This is a lovely, lovely racetrack, Road America.
Yep, no doubt about it. They 3 minutes 14 in, so in the not too distant future, we'll see some of the people starting to put up some lap times, because they've done their warm-up lap and then they fly. There's Jaco Steyn out on circuit. You can see he's got 2 green sectors in there already. Now you can see Jaco Foster is definitely on his second lap, because he's got the purple sector and Willem Pinaar as well. I think Jaco Steyn's still on his first lap out there, and hence those green sectors that he has. But as we said, the intervals and the gaps will start coming up pretty soon. For those of you that have just joined us, this is the MSA Porsche Cup Series 2023, round number 3 for the season, and we are out at Road America.
So there's still about 6 minutes to go in the qualifying session as we watch Jaco Steyn work his way around. There's Atti Nagel in the 78, also one of the leading drivers in the Porsche Cup for 2023. He is Atti Nagel in that 78 motor car. And we go back. Oh, that's Wayne Masters out on the circuit. Lovely to see Wayne, also one of the big names in SA Motorsport.
Yep, he's looking pretty good. Oh, there they come through now. Jaco Foster straight away goes to the top of the log. So Jaco Foster and Jaco Steyn, 2 big mates, 208.572. He creates the marker for everybody else to have a look at and see what they can do from there. A half a second between himself and Jaco Steyn, as Atti Nagel, and we spoke about the success story of 2023, and well, there you see Atti Nagel provisionally up onto the front row of the grid.
So Jaco Foster with a 2 minutes 8.572 around this circuit. It's a long track. It's over 6 k's long, 1 lap. There's Peter van Zyl coming through. He's in that 5th position. He's 1.5 seconds off a provisional pole sitter, Jaco Foster. Low Wrigley sits out there in P6 in car 44, and he's 1.75 off Foster.
2 seconds further down the road, that's Rainier Hubert. He's still on a flying lap right now, so there's a possibility of him getting him a whole heap closer. Surprisingly, Robbie Teens finding himself 2.8 seconds off the fastest pace. But as some professional racing driver of well-known history and note once said, if you don't feel like your Porsche is trying to kill you, you're not driving it hard enough.
Yeah, not easy motor cars to drive, these Porsches, not only just in iRacing, but in real time as well, with the engine that sits in the back of the car. So it's directly on those back wheels, so it basically does what it wants to do. You've got to fight with this thing around the circuit. Mark Devereaux, that sits in that 9th position, 3.1 seconds off Jaco Foster as time begins to run out. And a big thanks to ASAP New and Used Motor Spares and Parts. They are in Pretoria West, and they are the main sponsor for this year for the MSA Porsche Cup.
Yep, I must say it's nice to have people like that on board that support motorsport for the love of it. Low Wrigley gets dropped down there by Robbie Tings. He moves up. Oh, Low Wrigley finishes his lap and moves just a little bit higher up as well. So the moves is now on Ati Nagel. I don't believe Ati's ever been on pole position before.
Well, he's been right up there with him last year as well, Ati. And he deserves to put that thing on pole to a 8.518 by Ati Nagel. And there is only 5/10 of a second between himself and Jaco Forster that was in pole before he got demoted down to second position by Ati Nagel.
Yep, that's Jaco Forster. He's the man that's the second fastest out there. He's just completed a lap, so that's as far as he's going to go. There is Jaco Steyn. Can he maybe get himself to the front row of the grid? Yep, he's got another lap. Remember, I did say earlier on, it looks like he was on his first lap. There you can see he's got 2 yellow sectors, 1 green sector. Does that mean he's going to be able to go any quicker than what he went first time around? I don't think so. I think he might pin himself onto that second row of the grid. But Peter van Zyl has done a pretty decent job as he finds himself joint on the second row of the grid. Yes, it is 6/10 and a little, plus a 2,000, that is off Jaco Steyn. But it's still a very quick time that he's got out there. Really not bad.
Well, I see 13 drivers have put up a time. It's only Johan Engelbrecht that hasn't put up a time yet. There are only 14 of them that's entered this one. And Engelbrecht has not put up any time yet. He's got, a minute and 10 seconds to go out there, which he's not going to be able to do. If the quickest lap is a 8.518, then he's going to have to start in P14.
Let's see if Herman Lazarus can go any further forward.
Wow, look who's now on pole. Sorry, Gary.
Wow.
Jaco Steyn with a 8.196.
Wow, that's something else. So the 2 best buds going to be standing Linus and Jaco Steyn with Jaco Forster. And on the outside line is going to be Ati Nagel from Peter van Zyl. And 3/10 between the 2 of them on the front row of the grid. But look at that, only 500ths between Ati Nagel and Jaco Forster. It was almost a best bud front row lockout for this one, sponsored by ASAP New and Used Parts.
20 seconds left on the clock before the checkered flag comes out on this one. And we are with Herman Lazarus, the man of cheapercars.co.za in P10. 2.478, nearly 2.5 seconds behind Steyn at this point in time. And I think that is exactly where he's going to stay as the 10-minute qualifying stint is done.
Yep, that's that one. So we'll be able to see what the grid looks like. So Jaco Steyn and Ati Nagel alongside one another, 3/10 of a second, but if you think about it, it was only right at the end that Jaco Steyn managed to put that time up. So it's not cut and dusted that he is the fastest man out there. There is competition for him, there's no doubt about it.
Jaco Steyn, Ati Nagel, Jaco Forster, Peter van Zyl, Low Wrigley, Willem Pina, Reinier Joubert, and Robbie Tings. That's the first 4 rows of the grid.
Yep, so below Robbie Tings, there's still a whole lot of very, very quick drivers out there. Wayne Masters, Herman Lazarus, Renato Beccari, Mark Devereaux, Richard van Heerden, and then also Johan Engelbrecht. Now, Johan Engelbrecht has not clicked onto the server, neither has Willem Pina or Reinier Joubert yet. Let's hope that they don't have connectivity problems. And yep, there one of them comes in now, that's Willem Pina. So Reinier Joubert has not clicked on, and neither has Johan Engelbrecht at this stage of the fight. There you see the front rows of the grid. Let's just go back to the top end like that. So we still wait for Reinier Joubert and Johan Engelbrecht. The seconds tick away. Are they going to be able to make it onto the grid? That is the question to be asked at this stage of the fight. Beautiful
I think
view.
it's only Johan that's not there.
Yep, Renier has come in, so it's just Johan Engelbrecht in the 99, and he doesn't show being in the pit lane either, so that's not a goodie. Not too sure how that one's going to play itself out. There's the whole grid. It's only Johan Engelbrecht, and you can see his name is in a lighter color on the screen under the 14th person, Johan Engelbrecht, and that means because somewhere between Telkom, Eskom, and not finishing supper in time has created a situation where he is not going to be on the grid for the start.
Right, 14 cars entered, 13 on the grid as the safety car leads them off the line. So sadly, Johan Engelbrecht is not going to make it. He never went out to qualify neither. He was on the track for practice session, and that is where it sadly ended for Johan Engelbrecht. So, Atti Nagel, Jaco Steyn, Jaco Forster, Pieter van Zyl, Lou Wrigley. There is Willem Pinaar in the Castrol car, busy working his way around as we have a look at these lovely wraps on these Porsche Cup cars that work their way around Road America behind the safety car. The 33 is Pieter van Zyl sitting there on the outside of Lou Wrigley. The 88 is your pole sitter, Jaco Steyn. I think we can have a hell of a fight between Steyn, Nagel and Forster.
It's actually quite a difficult one to predict if you think about it, because Pieter van Zyl and Lou Wrigley can be very quick. Renier Joubert on certain circuits, car driver combinations, the man's utterly brilliant. So I think I'm not going to make any predictions on this one. Let me put you this way. If Jaco Steyn gets away in turn 1 and he gets a bit of a gap and there's nobody to pressurize him, I think he's stable enough to be able to go and do a Troy Dolanczyk from flag to flag. If he gets himself tied up with Atti Nagel and Pieter van Zyl, well, I think then it's going to be a 50-50. Will the two Jacos take one another off the circuit? No, they're best buds. They will do whatever they need to do to not affect one another's race.
Well, time will tell as the Porsche iRacing safety car leads them around. They're working their way now towards that very difficult left-hander that takes them towards the carousel, and then they will work their way through the carousel. Right now, that's Willem Pinaar, the only SA driver that's based and lives in the United Kingdom, as they work their way through the carousel, heading towards that right-handed kink, which is called the kink. And then from there, they'll work their way through Kettle Bottoms. That's that long straight that takes them towards Canada Corner. Then through turns 13A and B, which takes them to turn 14, which is the final corner around Road America.
The Nora Bakari had a bit of an incident before the race even started. Let's just see if we can get a quick look at that. Yeah, that's what happened to Leonardo Bakari just before the race was about to start, and he had to then catch up to the back of the pack, which he has now done. He is onto the back of the pack and he's good to go.
Well, the question is, where is he going to filter in? Was he going to have to start there behind Richard van Heerde? We'll have to look and see, because remember, he made a mistake on that outlap, put a couple of wheels on the dirt and dust and turned it around. We'll have a look and see where he's going to filter in. He'd love to go and take up his rightful position. Right, they're working their way now towards the final corner. That's turn 14 of Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, USA. The safety car will peel off to its right. There it goes into pit lane as the drivers drop the hammer, and off goes Jaco Steyn as we go green and work our way towards turn number 1. That is a 90-degree right-hander with Atti Nagel in there behind him, followed there by Pieter van Zyl and Jaco Forster. Then Lou Wrigley has got Willem Pinaar up on his inside, and Pinaar is there ahead of Lou Wrigley. Willem sitting in P5, Lowe sitting there in P6 with Rainier Hubert on the case of Lowe Wrigley as they work their way through that little kink towards that 90-degree left-hander.
Jaco Steyn was waiting for nobody and nothing. He made up his mind, if Atinachel doesn't want to come a little bit closer, that's his problem. And the moment he got the opportunity, he put the hammer down and he got himself a bit of a gap. But keep in mind that Atinachel is not exactly letting him get away whatsoever. They all within comma odds of a second. Everybody making it through there nice and neatly.
So it is Jaco Forster that sits on the tail there of Peter Hubert, and right behind him is Willem Pina. There's 0.3 of a second between them as they make their way into that left-hander. Lowe Wrigley makes contact there with Jaco Forster. Forster off the circuit, Lowe Wrigley off the circuit as well, and Lowe losing lots and lots of positions together with Jaco Forster.
Yep, that cost him pretty badly. Let's go on board with Jaco Steyn. That's what he sees in front of him. Jaco Steyn with Atinachel that started in that second position. The two of them leading out the pack pretty neatly. They've taken a bit of time out of Willem Pina. He's got Rainier Hubert right there behind him. Behind Rainier Hubert is Peter van Zyl. Now, Peter van Zyl has got a bird's eye view of what's happening in front of him, because that's quite a tussle that's going on right in front of him.
Yeah, we're right aboard here with Peter van Zyl that sits out there in P5. There's 0.3 of a second between himself and Rainier Hubert. There's just under 0.3 of a second between Hubert and Willem Pina. So both Hubert and van Zyl are right on the case of Pina that sits there in that third position.
Let's stay on board with Peter van Zyl. With these Porsches, can you, at that distance, which is 0.6 of a second, can you actually pick up a bit of a toe and close them down? Well, it looks like not really, because it stays around about 0.6, and he wasn't able to close up there at all. But Atinachel has got himself a whole heap closer. Look at this, Atinachel within 0.4 of a second. Now, initially, Jaco Steyn got a bit of a drop on the pull away. There was no problem whatsoever. He closed onto the back of Jaco Steyn. Now, they've got 3 seconds on Willem Pina. Does he now go on the attack on Jaco Steyn, or does he just sit there and pressurize him? I think that's what he's going to do.
I'm having a look here at Robbie Teens that sits there in P6. He's got 3 cars right in there behind him. Leonardo Bakari, Jaco Forster and Mark Devereaux. Jaco just got his nose ahead there of Mark Devereaux. Remember, Jaco was involved in that situation with Lowe Wrigley, and now he's busy carving his way through the field. So Robbie Teens has got 3 of them racked and stacked in there behind him: Leonardo Bacardi, Jaco Forster and Mark Devereaux.
Would actually be nice to see the Boltman Robbie Teens have a good run out there. I mean, who's one of the thorough gent. Oh, that's going to turn to tears. Unfortunately, the contact there between Jaco Forster and no, it wasn't. It was Jaco Forster
and Leonardo Bacardi.
And Leonardo Bacardi. That was the man that got sent packing there. He stuck his nose up on the inside, and unfortunately, yep, that was not going to work. And Leonardo Bacardi going off circuit. Let's have a quick look at that one. Leonardo, yeah, you could see he was holding the steering wheel straight, and the contact up against his door. Let's just have another look at that one. Up, there's the touch. And he was off the circuit. And I don't think that was any wrongdoing of his own, to be very honest with you. I think that's just the way that it played out. So the lead man, Jaco Steyn, and Atinachel is on the move.
And Mark Devereaux was on the dirt. He's dropped all the way down now to P9. So there was a problem out there for Devereaux. Atinachel was the quickest man out there, sitting in that second position. He's 0.5 of a second behind leader Jaco Steyn. Well, I said I predicted a huge fight between Steyn, Nachel and Forster, and that's Devereaux with massive understeer, running off there at turn 14 and then trying to work his way back on, and then a car in trouble just there ahead of him, right there by pit lane, as he works his way back up the hill.
Talking about pit lane, you've got Willem Pina that's gone into the pits, and Lowe Wrigley into the pits as well. So that's a bit of a sad one to see that working out like that. Atinachel got a bit of space now between himself and Jaco Steyn. Remember, we've got a 45-minute race. They are slowly but surely working their way away from the rest of the pack. In fact, back to Robbie Teens now. There's 11 seconds.
Yes, and Lucas behind Robbie Teens. It is Jaco Forster in the 000 car. There he sits there just behind Teens. Oh, and he's trying hard. He puts a couple of wheels on the dirt, and that could cost him at the end of the day, because Ranier Hubert will have a go at him. Lucky Forster stays in there behind Teens. You can see the battle scars on that front left fender of the Forster Porsche, as he's right under that wing of Robbie Teens as they busy work their way around. That is going through Kettle Bottoms towards Canada Corner, and he sits on the outside as they head towards Canada Corner, and he makes the move stick there on Robbie Teens.
Yep, can he hold on to that line? Yes, he does. Well, frankly, I don't think there's expensive enough polish that's going to get rid of those marks on the front fender of that motor car.
Yeah, Ranier Hubert is also involved in that fight as well. He sits there just behind Robbie Teens, and Jaco Forster has made his way back into it again. He's back into that third position after he and Lowe Wrigley made contact earlier on. Lowe sits all the way down in P13, Jaco in P3, and that might even become P... No, as a matter of fact, he's still in there. He's busy getting away there from Robbie Teens, who's still been hassled heavily here by Ranier Hubert.
Yeah, Ranier Hubert in the top 5, but that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be a whole heap further forward than that, and he's doing a pretty good job of it. Look at this as they go through underneath the bridge, coming down towards the next corner. It's going to be that very, very tight left-hander. You've got to come down into the brake markers, use the curbstone and a little bit more. Try and late apex it just like that, and that's how you close up a half a car length. But now there is nowhere to go. It's just too tight at that point to be able to get through there. You try and go through your flat foot all the way. You've got to feather it slightly at that point, then climb hard on the gas again and work your way downhill. Now, once again, a very, very tight left-hander, but now no additional space on the right-hand side on the outside, and no additional runoff room either. So that one, you've got to be very, very neat.
Well, the fight's still raging on here for P1 between Steyn and Nagel. There's 0.8 of a second between them as we still ride aboard here Ranier Hubert. Now we hop into the cockpit area of Ranier Hubert as he chases down Robbie Teens. 0.3 of a second between the two of them. Meantime, Nagel is still 0.8 of a second behind Steyn. I'm keeping an eye on that one as we watch this fight with Ranier Hubert that sits there in P5, 0.3 of a second behind him, and the man in P4, namely Robbie Teens.
Is Ati Nagel starting to lose a little bit of ground to Jaco Steyn, or is he just pacing himself very, very neatly at the front end of the field? Mark Devereaux is in a hell of a battle, and it looks like there's been contact there, and Mark Devereaux trying to recover the circuit. It looks like Willem Pina was the man that was initially involved in an incident.
Now that's Willem Pina going into that left-hander.
As we said, yeah, frankly, there's no extra run off there as well.
That's heading towards the carousel. That's a very difficult left-hander that takes you onto that carousel, and if you make a mistake there, then you will be history.
Up, and that's what happened with Peter van Zyl, and that's when he went off the circuit. Let's see if we can pick up that one. Comes, oh, that definitely looked to me like netcode. He turned the steering, well, the steering wheel just turned 90 degrees in his hand, and I don't think that was any wrongdoing of his own. I think personally that was netcode. Going back to Ati Nagel, Is he starting to battle to hold the pace of Jaco Steyn? What's the last lap times that they put out there? 09.7, a 10.1, 4 tenths. That's why Jaco Steyn has got a bit of breathing space behind him. We've watched that previous one where there was 6 tenths of a second all the way up the front main, and it didn't appear as if 6 tenths was close enough to be able to pick up the vacuum behind that Porsche and actually get the tow. I think Atinagel's going to have to get just about a tenth closer if he wants to have a go at Jaco Steyn.
Well, if Ati wants to get past Jaco Steyn, he must go now, because the last lap, 209.761 for Jaco and a 209.747 for Jaco Forster. So he was the quickest man out there, was Forster. Yes, there's 12.6 seconds between himself as Van Heerde smashes that Porsche into the wall.
That was very, very heavy contact that he made there, and I think that's going to cost him pretty badly, because I don't think that car's going to run very well directly after that. Let's have a look at that one from a different angle. Under braking, it just breaks away completely. Surely there's got to be a lot of damage to that right-hand front corner. Robbie Teens has, in the meantime, gone and entered the pit lane, so it looks like we're in for some pit stops as well.
Van Heerde just in a lot of trouble out there. That car just won't handle. He's smashing it into the walls, left, right and center. That's a very broken Porsche that he's nursing into the pit area. Is Richard Van Heerde in car 31. Robbie Teens is in the pit lane in the Teen Bolt Porsche. And here comes Van Heerde limping his way to his pit box.
Well, what's left of that Van Heerde motor car, because after that initial contact, he then had a second situation where he went into the wall. Robbie Teens on the way out, and there we go. As he gets back onto the circuit, nobody's taken out those cones yet. Atinagel slowly but surely starting to lose touch with the very, very quick Jaco Steyn. Now on the last lap, Atinagel was quicker than Jaco Steyn, but Jaco somehow, I think, has just got the edge on it.
Well, I think these two, and this is just my guess, are going to bog each other down. We've only done just over 12 and a half minutes, and they're going to forget about Jaco Forster that sits in that third position. He's 12 seconds behind the Steyn-Nagel combination, and Ati 4 tenths of a second behind Steyn, not making any move there on him. And if they keep on like this, then I think that 12 seconds will become 11, will become 10, and I think Jaco Forster, if he gets the red mist down, he can go after the Steyn-Nagel combination and challenge for a win, keeping in mind that there are still a round of pit stops to come up, official pit stops. There have been drivers in, but those were out of sync pit stops.
Yeah. Well, having said that Jaco Steyn's going to be able to get away, he's just been proven wrong, because Atinagel's just a bit quicker. But Jaco Forster has obviously got some headphones going in the helmet and doesn't want to let Frankie Yinners down. And he says, the voice of Western Promise Motorsport, let me show you that your prediction wasn't all bad. Wayne Masters into the pits.
Yes, Wayne Masters working his way. He pitted out of P6, drops down to P7. He'll drop down a lot lower, that's for sure, as the Verizon car of Mark Devereaux makes its way around. So yes, Jaco Forster 209.314 is the quickest man out there, and it is now 11.3, and he's going to have to go quicker if he wants to catch up to Steyn and Nagel. Robbie Teens out there after pitting, he finds himself in P9 with a 2:32 was his last lap, moving up now to P8 because Masters is still there in the pit area.
As you can see, Steyn, Nagel, Forster, Joubert, Bakari and Lazarus and Devereaux, none of them have actually been into the pits at all yet, and therefore they run in the top 7 positions. Robbie Teens, the man that we see on screen, he was the first man that actually went out and did a pit stop as such and get it back on track. Was it because of damage? Will he be able to make it to the end? Yes, I think so. Wayne Masters is still in the pits. Now, we spoke about Wayne Masters earlier on. That car's still standing in the pits, as well as Peter van Zyl. And, well, I think Peter van Zyl might actually be out of it because, yeah, that car is bent, buckled, twisted, and in a bad need of a polish.
Yeah, Masters has been in there for 113 seconds, so you work that out. It's just under 2 minutes that he's been in the pit area. So it's now 120, which is indeed 2 minutes that he's been inside there. Jaco Forster still 11.9 behind the combination of Jaco Steyn and Atti Nagel. There's Leonardo Bakari. He sits in P5, but guess what? He's been hassled there by Herman Lazarus. Herman sitting there in that 6th position, 4/10 of a second between himself and Bakari. As we ride aboard the wing cam of Bakari, looking back there at Herman Lazarus.
Well, that is a very small gap. That's 3/10 of a second, and even with that 3/10 of a second, he's not actually making up that much ground. Obviously, now when you climb on the brakes, they'll get a bit closer. So slipstreaming doesn't seem to be a major factor with these motor cars. And looking at that, that was 3 and 4/10 of a second. Atti Nagel, that's 7 and 8/10 of a second away from Jaco Steyn. Jaco Steyn from flag to flag, I think he might be the man of the moment tonight.
Well, I think you're going to keep an eye on these two. You know what, Gary? Last week, Wednesday, we had Troy Dolacek versus Leighton Fourie. Who is going to be the best? Don't do what he does, and vice versa. We could be looking at that same combination, that same mindset, that same type of a fight between Steyn and Nagel.
Yeah, whatever you do, I do the opposite, or I undercut you and hope that I can get in and out of the pits quick enough that you can't get back at me. Herman Lazarus, that's the blue cheapercars.co.za entry that you see there behind the white version of the Porsche, that being Renier Hubert. They are sitting, both of them, in the top 5. And although they find themselves a long way further back from the leaders, anything can happen up front. 14 cars out there. Johan Engelbrecht is not out on circuit, and yeah, he's 8 laps. They're on lap number 9, which means that he never got out of it, out onto the circuit at all, and has in fact now clicked out of the whole system. So unfortunately, we're not going to see Johan Engelbrecht out there this evening.
So, Leonardo Bakari has still been hassled heavily here by Herman Lazarus, and they've got a back marker in front of them, namely Richard van Heerde, that's sitting in that 12th position, and he's going to be caught, overtaken and lapped here by Bakari and Lazarus very soon as they work their way out of turn number 14, coming down that main straight. Up the home straight they go. There goes the back marker, and here comes Lazarus. Lazarus right in there. And is he going to have a go at Bakari? No, the line is covered very nicely. Leonardo puts that car plumb center in the middle of the track, and he now basically forces Lazarus to choose a way around. Remember, he's allowed to move once, and he put it there, so if he goes to the inside, he can defend there, or if he goes to the outside, he won't have to move because it would be the long way around. So good thinking there by Bakari going into turn number 1 to put that Porsche plumb center in the road before you go to the 90-degree right-hander turn 1.
Well, let's have a look from the top end down. Jaco Steyn, and he hasn't done a pit stop yet. I would tend to think that everybody has to do a pit stop, but it's not cast and dusted in stone. It was never actually discussed and spoken about. I actually like to not know before the time if there's going to be a pit stop, a compulsory pit stop for fuel and tires, or only fuel. It just makes it so much more interesting for us. So Jaco Steyn, as he's about to start yet another lap, the Team Jesus car in there behind him of Atti Nagel. They both go straight through. They're not going into the pits. Here comes Jaco Forster, the man that is in charge of our endurance racing in South Africa. Is he going to go straight through as well? Yes, he does. So what about the Wild Rose Gin car of Renier Hubert? maybe nobody of these guys needs to actually go in, and that puts then that top 7 in a very, very strong position. Renier Hubert comes through. Here comes Leonardo Bacari. He's got himself involved in a little bit of a tussle there. He's got to stay ahead of Herman Lazarus, 0.5 of a second between himself in the white 22 Porsche, and they on their way there as they go past Richard van Heerden. He moves out of the way. Do they go straight through? Yes, they do. Neither of them are going into the pits at all. There is looking at the back of Leonardo Bacari. Let's have a look once again. 3.38, 0.37, 0.35. Is it enough? Can you pick up enough toe down that straight? 0.2. Nope, I don't believe it's enough. So, unless you get the man to outbrake himself at the end of the front main, and you can go side by side.
Up on the inside he goes. Bacari doesn't give up the fight. He dives across the bows there of Herman Lazarus and gets it completely wrong and onto the dirt. He will lose out to Mark Devereaux. Mark Devereaux will come through as well. So Mark Devereaux will move up a position. Bacari will move up position. Robbie Teens might even have a go at him. But no, Robbie's too far behind. He's nearly 25 seconds behind Bacari. So Bacari drops all the way down to P7. Loses out there not only to Lazarus but to Devereaux as well.
Yeah, that was a pity because he was really defending very well. Just went a little bit too wide. The weight of that motor he actually recovered very well, not to touch up against the tire barrier there, not to end up going back onto the circuit at the wrong angle and picking somebody else up, and there he eventually gets back out on circuit, and it's all good for him from there on out. A big thanks to ASAP New and Used Parts, working in conjunction with Second Gear Productions down here in the friendly city of Cape Town in Velgelegen, bringing you the 2023 round number 3 of the Porsche Cup under the auspices of iRacing South Africa. That's the man that was in pole position. That's a man that is still leading the bout. His name is Jaco Steyn. He's the man that's put this whole series and the GT3 series together, and is busy putting together the Renault Clio Cup series, which will be starting next week Monday. If there are enough entries, there's 15 entries already so far. They're looking to have 20 entries, and then that will be starting from next week Monday. So that is the man that leads them out. That is Jaco Steyn from Attinagel. Jaco Foster 13 seconds further back. He's in pretty much no man's land because he's got 13 seconds to Renier Hubert. Herman Lazarus has got 27 seconds further back. But Mark Devereaux said, I'm not going to get stuck in the traffic. I'm going to dive straight into the pits. Leonardo Bacari comes past him as Mark Devereaux works into the pits. Now the thing is, somebody like Robbie Teens. Where is Robbie Teens? There's Robbie Teens. He goes past. He's already made a pit stop. Where is the next man that's going to be coming through behind that? That's going to be Willem Pina. And Willem Pina working his way now into the straight. Will he also come past Mark Devereaux? Yes, I think he will. Devereaux is in the pit lane. There he comes out. Look to the right hand side. There is Willem Pina, and Willem Pina will come straight past him and make up yet another position. So Robbie Teams is the leading man that has been into the pits and out again. The question still remains with us. 11 laps in 23 minutes of the 45. That's pretty much just past halfway. If they're going to come in, Frankie, then that man has got to make that decision pretty soon. And he has done enough to keep off the likes of Attinagel. Now, has Attinagel been playing it safe? There's no traffic, there's no problems. He's been within a second all along of Jaco Steyn. Is he just desperately hanging on, or is he pacing himself to have a pressure run on Jaco Steyn towards the last quarter of the race?
Well, I reckon 25 minutes on, these top two will work their way into the pit area. Here comes Renier Hubert. Herman Lazarus also busy making his way. So it's Wayne Masters making his way into the pits. So I think any time from now onwards, we will see Steyn and Nagel come into the pits. Either they're going to come in together, or one will come in and the other one will do the entire opposite? We'll have to look and see.
That was my question. What do you think, Frankie? I think when Jaco Steyn goes in, Attien Nagel when Steyn goes in, Nagel will stay out and then try and come back out onto the circuit in front of Jaco Steyn. That negates a situation where he's got to try and do a passing maneuver on Jaco Steyn. Either that or get right onto the back bumper of Jaco Steyn and then on the last dive into the pits, try and get into the pits and out of the pits. Remember, the time that you use to run out to your pit box is part of the slowing down and the speeding up. So that's just as important. How quickly you get to the pit box and how quickly you get back out again is just as important as how long you actually stand there. I'm going to hazard a guess. If they have to go in, and I think they do, I think Attien Nagel's going to go for the undercut.
Well, I don't know. Time will tell. They're busy working their way now towards turn 14, which is the final corner of Road America. Let's have a look and see. Will the one go in and the other one stay out? Will they both stay out? They both stay out. Well, it's 26 minutes, so I think anytime from now onwards, either both will come in or both will stay out, or one will come in and one will stay out. I think it's going to be interesting to watch them. Jaco Forster sits there in that third position. He's 14 seconds behind them. And then Herman Lazarus in P4. He's 46 seconds behind Forster. And he is 10.3 seconds ahead of Reinier Hubert. And there's just a couple of back markers there. That's ahead of Lazarus. That's Wayne Masters. Yeah, he comes. He put a lap there on Peter van Zyl. Did Herman Lazarus trying to work his way through the back markers. So here he comes. Herman Lazarus in that fourth position. 10 seconds between himself and Reinier, who has got Bakari right on his case. There's a second between Reinier Hubert and Sander Bakari, keeping in mind that Reinier Hubert has made a pit stop already and Leonardo Bakari hasn't made a pit stop. Well, that's Van Zyl. He's a back marker. He's going to try and unlap himself here. He sits out there in that 13th position, gets ahead of the man that's in P4. That doesn't change anything.
Yeah, but remember that Peter van Zyl has had 2 stops already. That would explain why he is in fact that far down. And as we ride on board with Herman Lazarus, he's in there behind Peter van Zyl. Peter van Zyl 9 positions down. Herman Lazarus 6 positions up. That's pretty interesting stuff. Let's have a look, see exactly the losses and gains out there. The front 3, where they started is where they are.
Well, Steyn and Nagel, 0.5 of a second. They're heading towards turn 13A and 13B. They're working their way towards turn 14. That's the final corner with 28 minutes done. Let's have a look and see which one of these two will be brave enough to hit the pit lane first. Will it be Steyn? Will it be Nagel?
Nope.
Guess what? It's none of them. Another lap. They're going to go around.
Okay, so Jaco Forster finds himself 15 seconds further back. He's in no man's land because there's a big gap behind him. Does it suit him to go in now?
It does.
Yes, it does.
I was going to say the same thing, Gary. You and I were thinking exactly the same thing. If he can come in now, get a good pit stop, get out quickly, it's done and dusted, not lose too much time to Steyn and Nagel. There was about, 14, 15 seconds between them. And if he can put in a flyer of a lap or 2 for that matter, then he can challenge Steyn and Nagel for P1 and P2. But yeah, it's easier said than done as Forster makes his way down pit road.
Interesting stuff how this pit stops is going to play itself out. So he's in at this stage of the fight. Herman Lazarus went through, and that's where Herman Lazarus is on the circuit. There's that 4th position. Is Herman going to bring that car in? It looks like it. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Herman Lazarus in that 4th position. He's going to bring that car in now. Reinier Hubert has already been into the pits. Where does Reinier Hubert come? He says, thank you, Herman Lazarus. Adios, amigos. Bon voyage. I will take over that 4th position. Leonardo Bakari has come into the pits as well. Now, he still finds himself in a pretty decent position. So, who has not been into the pit so far? only Jaco Steyn and Atti Nagel. They're the only two that have not been in, and it cannot be too long before they work their way into the pit lane as such.
So, here come our two protagonists, Jaco Steyn, Atti Nagel, 7/10 of a second. They're working their way towards the end of the lap. They're heading through turn 13 A and B and towards turn 14. That's turn 14 you see there ahead of the Steyn-Nagel combination. There's a half an hour done. There's 45 minutes left.
Yes,
and
yes.
they...
No!
He sells
Look
him
at
a
that!
dummy!
Oh, look at that. He sold the dummy. And you know what? Atti Nagel at that point, Frankie, wasn't close enough to be able to go with Jaco into the pits and beat him out of the pits. He late braked on that last corner, made up a fair amount of ground. Jaco sold him the ultimate dummy. What a brilliant... You know, you get that move which is called... what was it that we referred to it at the when he ran out of fuel, Dr. Mike Verrier, that you pull the Mike move. That's when you stay out too long. That was called the Mike move. And this, I think we're going to call him Jaco, the Deceiver Steyn, because that was the most classic move that I've seen any one of these guys make for a long time.
Okay, not done yet, because Atti Nagel is going to be working his way out onto the circuit pretty soon. There was nothing between the two of them. Comparing to where Steyn is to where Nagel is, when Steyn comes in, either Nagel will be ahead of him, or theoretically Nagel should be right on his tail again. Let's have a look and see. It's not going to be Jaco Forster. He'll still be there in that third position. There's a personal best for Reinier Hubert at 2:10.348. Now, where is Jaco Steyn? Jaco Steyn is making his way through the kink, and he's heading down Kettle Bottoms towards Canada
edge.
Corner.
He's pushing hard.
And where is Nagel? Nagel is working his way towards the carousel. He's going to enter the carousel now. There the two car goes into the carousel. If Jaco Steyn pits now, it's going to be touch and go between himself and Nagel for the lead.
Well, he's 4 seconds behind Mark Devereaux. He shouldn't be able to catch Mark Devereaux in one lap. He should have open space in front of him, and he decides to go to the pits.
Now,
all right.
This is going to be interesting. He had to put in an absolute flyer of a lap if he wanted to get in and out ahead of Atti Nagel. Here comes Atti Nagel through Kettle Bottoms. He's going into Canada Corner, working his way into turn 13. That's turn 13A and 13B. And Forster has not come to a standstill yet.
Steyn.
And here comes Nagel. And we're going to have a new leader. I'll tell you this for nothing. Atti Nagel is going to take the lead. So at the end of the day, it did play in the hands of Atti Nagel.
Well, there's Jaco Steyn still standing. You see the number 2 coming along.
Oh.
This is going to be close. This is going to be close. Keep an eye. I think Jaco Steyn's done it. I think Jaco Steyn has done it after selling the ultimate dummy to Atti Nagel. Where does Atti Nagel find himself? Just in there behind Jaco Steyn. Classic stuff. It's one of the best I've ever seen. Sorry if I laugh about it, but I think it was utterly amazing stuff.
Well, I said either Nagel would take the lead or would be right back on the case of Steyn. It would be one or the other. And it has panned out to be the other. Steyn stays in P1, Nagel stays in second, and here he comes. The gap, so the intervals between Steyn and Nagel cannot be that big. There's Jaco Forster that sits there in that third position. Okay, so it's 2.2 between Steyn and Nagel, who's got a nearly 28-second lead on Forster. That's in that third position. And he's going to put a lap there shortly on the man in P11, namely Wayne Masters, will Jaco Forster. So, let's have a look and see. Steyn and Nagel, the gap is at 2 seconds. Is it going to start getting smaller? I predict it will. The question is, how small is it going to get? There's still, nearly 10 minutes to go before we see the checkered flag. So this one isn't over yet.
Yeah, Frankie, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say Atinagel is not going to have the pace to be able to get one-on-one with Jaco Steyn. I think Jaco's done it all right up until now. I think he's running confident. I know he hasn't had much time to practice. When we were doing the necessary load-ups, he says, I have to get around to practicing. And lap for lap, to my mind, he's been getting quicker and quicker. So I think he's in all-conquering form right now. And I think that Jaco Steyn, barring unforeseen circumstances, with just sort of 10 minutes to go, I think he'll be able to pull one over Atinagel. But now, also remember, Atinagel is the success story of 2022. You can never ever count him out.
Well, there's a fight there for P7 between Low Wrigley and Herman Lazarus, car 44 and 69. That's the two of them out there for P6. It's the only real fight out there on the track, because the one between Steyn and Nagel was blown apart by that pit stop. So let's keep an eye on this one. Low sitting in P7 in car 44, and he is just under a second ahead of Herman Lazarus in car 69.
Well, Mr. Wrigley has made sure that he doesn't have any damage on that car whatsoever. It's nice and slick and smooth on the left-hand back corner. Let's see what it looks like on the right rear corner. Oh, there's the right front. That looks quite fine. Let's have a look at the right rear. Not a mark on that motor car. And the left rear, yep, it's all good. So he hasn't touched a wall. He hasn't touched a bug, a muggy, a cricket, a nothing. He's doing it all right. Is Low Wrigley, works his way out into the front. Just look at the elevation on the circuit as you work your way up towards the NTT bridge. And then as you come over the rise, you can see there's the flagman podium that comes out over the circuit. And that's going to become active in less than 4 minutes from now.
Well, let's have a run from the top all the way down. We have a look. Jaco Steyn sits out there in P1. And Jaco is 2.3 seconds ahead of the man you see in there behind him. That is Atinagel. Then in third position, we've got Jaco Forster. He's nearly 33 seconds behind Atinagel. 5 seconds behind him in P4 is Reinier Hubert, that sits in that fourth position. Then in P5, we've got Robbie Teens. He's nearly 18 seconds behind Reinier Hubert as Robbie Teens. Rounding off the top half dozen in P6, 16 seconds behind Teens is the Castrol car of Willem Pina. P7 is the 44 car of Low Wrigley, and he is in that 7th position, and 1 second behind him in P8 is Herman Lazarus. Then in P9 is Leonardo Bakari, 8.6 seconds behind Lazarus. Rounding off the top 10 is the number 10 car of Mark Devereaux in the Verizon car, and he is 4.3 seconds behind Leonardo Bakari. Then in P11, a minute and 33 behind Devereaux is car 20, that is Wayne Masters. And then in 12th position, 2 minutes behind Masters, is the 33 Porsche of Pieter van Zyl. And they are the only cars remaining, as Van Heerde is in the pits, and it did not start for Johan Engelbrecht.
No, not good at all. Wayne Masters had a bit of an issue. Let's just see what happened to Wayne. That car looks very much the same as the cheapercars.co.za of Herman Lazarus. So that was just a little bit of a moment. They caught it all together, and that was that. So who's the man of the day? It's got to be this man, Jaco Steyn. Fastest qualifier. He's led every single lap of this race. He's showed a clean set of heels to Atinagel. In fact, when the pressure was down, when they were on exactly 2 seconds between them in the final stages, and we literally a minute and 5 seconds still to go, so they're going to have to do one more lap after this one. He's actually taken 3/10 out of the super duper quick driver of the year 2023, Atinagel.
Yeah, he's right in there. He's Nagel. Steyn, he's been kept very honest. We put a wheel out of line now with a lap and a straight to go. Jaco Steyn. then it will be all over by the shouting. So either way, first and second is secured for these guys because Forster is 35 seconds behind them in P3. So unless one of them wrecks that car out there, they've got either P1 or P2 in the bag. And right now, on the last lap, you cannot deny Jaco Steyn. That was a brilliant dummy that he sold Ati Nagel. Ati took it hook, line and sinker. And if anybody deserves to win this one based on that, it would be Jaco Steyn.
You realize the flag man didn't actually show the white flag when he came through. There was the 40 minutes, in fact, sorry, it's 45 minutes, Frankie. We're working on 40. It's 45.
Sorry, 45.
I was
yes.
looking, the flag man, I thought, Kazi, are you sleeping? What's going
Sorry,
wrong? No,
yeah.
we the ones that are sleeping.
Yeah, I got that one wrong. I apologize.
Not a train smash either way. Ati Nagel holds 2.5 seconds. And he just cannot get any closer to Jaco Steyn. And I think this is probably the best race that Jaco Steyn has had ever since he got the new equipment and took over the whole series. I know he hasn't had that much time to be able to practice recently. He's busy doing some renovations at the lodge, some massive renovations at the lodge. And well, with that, it hasn't got a lot of time to actually go out there and just have fun and practice. And going into this one, he said, I have not had enough practice. I just hope that I can get a clean run and then just get quicker and quicker as the race goes on. And that's exactly what he does. Let's see what's the fastest lap time by each of these drivers. Ati Nagel at 206.6, at 206.7. That is there by Jaco Steyn, and nobody else has been anywhere close to that. A 209 is the closest to those two, and sorry, it's a 208. It's a 208.6, a 208.7. Everybody else on a 209 and more. That's the fastest laps that they've got out there. Let's just have a last look at those pit stops, and you'll see everybody up until the 11th position. Just that one stop that they had to do. 2 for Peter van Zyl, remember he had the damage. 3 for Richard van Heerden, remember he had the damage. And a total of 17 laps, and out of it is Johan Engelbrecht that didn't manage to get onto the server initially and couldn't actually get to start the race as such. In terms of gains and losses, Frankie?
Yes, well, as you see it there, Reinier Hubert, Robbie Teens has gone up 2. Lazarus Bakari and Devereaux has gone up 2. Van Heerden has dropped down 8. Van Zyl dropped down 8. Van Heerden is still in the pit area. And of course, not starting the race is Johan Engelbrecht. So, with 42 minutes done, there is Reinier Hubert going up the hill. This is a replay of Reinier running it wide on the grass and clipping the side and slamming it into the Armco barrier. A lot of damage there to the front end of the Wild Rose Gin Porsche.
That previous shot that we had of him, I noticed that the bonnet was gone, so I thought something's gone wrong, and well, there we managed to trace it. A big thanks to the upgraded version of SCCA that makes it possible for us to do that kind of thing. So 43 minutes gone. And, well, it's 2.9 seconds now. Ati Nagel is not being able to do anything at this stage of the fight. Amran Lazarus is, in fact, dropped down, and he finds himself now in 8th position.
Well, Gary, with Reinier Hubert, that's nursing a very broken motor car. Robbie Teens in P5 is only 1.2 seconds behind him. So with Hubert looking after a car that's damaged, don't be surprised if Robbie Teens makes the move on him and moves up into that second position.
Well, there you see Robbie Teens in the last lap, 2:11 as opposed to the 2:13 of Reinier Hubert. But that was under the previous circumstances. We will only really know when they come through after this lap. And Robbie Teens from Reinier, and then there's Wayne Masters. I think Wayne's far enough ahead that they're not actually going to pick Wayne up. There's 2.2 seconds between themselves and Wayne. Wayne's just had a bit of bad luck. It's not like Wayne's off the pace of where they are whatsoever. So Robbie Teens onto the back there of Reinier Hubert. He looks like he's closing.
Yeah.
He looks like he's closing.
Yes, well, I said he's going to close on him because Hubert is nursing a motor car that's badly damaged. There's no problems out there for the Ting Bolt Porsche of Robbie Tings in P5. There's 5/10 of a second between them. They've got Wayne Masters, who's a back market just ahead of them. I'm sure he'll keep out the way for these two, for the 86 and the 23 car.
I think Robert Tings hopes not. He's
Yeah.
hoping for just a little bit of assistance. Have a look at the blue number 1 with the red circle around it. That is our leader. It's 44 minutes. In fact, the 45 minutes is now up. You see there, the white flag is now coming out. So let's go. As Richard van Heerde is in the pits, let's go back to the lead man, Jaco Steyn. From lights to flag, from lights to lights, from flags to flag. Call it what you want. When it started, he was in front. If nothing goes wrong when it ends, don't do that kind of thing. He should still be in front as well. And the man that could keep him honest all night long, Atti Nagel, well, towards the end, Atti started losing a bit of ground. It's now 3.9. But I think Atti's also made up his mind. Listen, I'm going to take the second place. I'm not going to take any stupid chances. Let's take the second. Let's be happy with it. And let's just add that to our points tally.
Yeah, well, it's over 4 seconds now, so he's not going to hassle about going for him. He cannot go for him. This is the last corner. This is the home straight, and you will see the checkered flag come out for Jaco Steyn that wins this one. There he gets the flag, and he finishes 5 seconds ahead of Atti Nagel and does the quickest lap of the race for the Tour 8.503.
Well, that was very quick right at the end. Let's see who's coming through out there behind the trees. That should be Jaco Foster. There's a long way there behind the trees. There he comes through. So Jaco Foster, the man that's going to be in charge of the endurance racing for 2023. Here he comes through now. 38 seconds behind his best bud, Jaco Steyn. But either way, he's still got a nice big gap between himself and everybody and everything else behind him.
Well, I said a fight between Steyn, Nagel and Foster. It was a fight between Steyn and Nagel. Foster did end there in third. Here comes Renier Hubert. And, well, still nursing a broken motor car. He has got Robbie Tings in there behind him. There's 2/10 of a second. They was coming out that final corner, working their way up the hill. They've still got Wayne Masters ahead of them. Who's a back marker? Is Renier going to hold on to it? He's going to just hold on to it. Ahead there of what happened there. He almost lost that fourth position. Only 0.08 of a second between Hubert and Tings.
He almost actually lifted off a little bit. In fact, he did lift off a little bit too early.
Yep.
But he still made it through. A very gentlemanly move there. Willem Pina, the man in the Castrol car. Herman Lazarus working his way through. And the cheapercars.co.za.
Well, 9 and 10 is chopping and changing as we watch Lazarus come towards the line. And 4.7 seconds behind him in P8 is Leonardo Bakari. And here comes Devereaux to the line. And Devereaux will get to the line way ahead of Wrigley, who's had a problem. Well, they were chopping and changing. 9 and 10 was chopping and changing positions. And I think that is what caused problems for Low Wrigley. Or is he running out of fuel?
I think he's run out of fuel.
He can't get up the hill.
He just did a mic.
I don't think he's got any fuel. I'm having a guess, but that's my guess.
Well, that's as far as he got. He never got any further than that. And it's quite possible that he just did a mic varier on himself. Very, very possible.
Yep.
So, interesting stuff with the number of cars that was out there. I must say it was a very, very interesting race. And before we even go through that, Jaco Steyn, let's just have a look at the grid, the way that it was. If we can get the grid to come up quickly. Let's see if it will play it for us. And no, it won't give us the grid at this stage of the fight. So let's go back to the results. In fact, the qualifying, there we go. That's the one that we want to look for, that qualifying, if we can get that to come out. So Jaco Steyn qualified ahead of Atti Nagel, Jaco Foster, and Peter van Zyl. The end result was then still Jaco Steyn ahead of Atti Nagel and Jaco Forster coming through behind that.
Well, as I said it would be, it was, the three of them. Not as close as what I thought it would be, but they still finished first, second and third after qualifying in that very same order. Reinier Hubert, Robbie Teens, Willem Pina rounds off the top six, followed by Lazarus, Bacardi, Devereaux, and he is also the last man on the lead lap.
Well, let's just have a look at something quickly, Frankie. I just want to see Mark Devereaux, lap number 10. Sorry, Low Wrigley. When did Wrigley... there we go. There's your answer. You
Lap
were
2.
right. Lap number 2 was when he came in, and obviously there was not enough fuel then to make it to the end. He does a Mike Verrier on himself.
Remember, he was involved in an accident with Jaco Forster right in the beginning. And that is what cost Low Wrigley dearly.
Wow. So Jaco Steyn from Attinagel, Jaco Forster, Reinier Hubert and Robbie Teens. That's the top 5. They all pick up 16 points and more. Then Willem Pina from Herman Lazarus once again with the cheapercars.co.za up there in the top 10. Then Nora Bakari, but unlucky to have that off track. And then people that had a bit of bad luck, Mark Devereaux, Low Wrigley. Low Wrigley. Message to driver, add fuel after lap 2. Wayne Masters from Peter van Zyl, Richard van Heerden, and then Johan Engelbrecht coming through behind that. Bad luck for the day?
Mark Devereaux.
I don't have to rub it in. I mean,
dear.
Yeah, no, look, Mark Devereaux, I think so. Bad calculation for the day?
Not Mark Devereaux. I lie. Low Wrigley. Sorry.
No, I didn't ask for bad calculation. I said bad luck. Bad calculation, Low Wrigley. And, Mark Devereaux was a bit unlucky that he dropped as far back as what he did. And Leonardo Bakari as well, with that one off that cost him pretty badly. So that was the MSA Porsche Cup Series 2023, round number 3 from one of the most iconic circuits in the world. Frankie, a closing word from your side.
Yeah, it's going to be good to when we see them again, the GT3s and then the Porsche Cup. But between then, on a Wednesday, first of all, we go back to the iRacing Master Series, which will continue next week, Wednesday. And then hopefully, if all falls into place, we will do the Renault Clio Cup for you next week, Monday.
Yep. That will be the first of those races, and I think that Renault Clio Cup is going to be something that's to be watched as well. That'll be on a Monday night, but for the next 2 Wednesday nights, it'll be Sports and GT Masters that'll be coming through to you. From the Second Gear Studio here in the friendly city of Cape Town in Velgelegen, on behalf of myself, Gary Fleming, the voice of Oval and the voice of Western Province Motorsport, Frankie Ennis. Thanks very much for joining us, and good night to you, one and all.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.